Welcome to the Catholic Diocese of Wilmington's online training for safe environments. This is Part 1, an introduction to an environment of faith, an environment of safety. Part of our goal as we work with children and youth in our parish programs or school programs is to create a Catholic faith environment, one that models Christ and the gospel message and fosters faith development. This environment provides our children with deliberately different messages and experiences than those they encounter in society. We are guided by the teachings of Jesus through living the gospel and our Catholic tradition. The gospel tells us a great deal about relationships, how God loves and cares for us, how God is related to the church, and how we should relate to one another. Jesus' view of children sent clear messages about the significance of children. Jesus' message was and remains, "Let the children come to me." If we truly model Christ, then we display unconditional love, forgiveness, a focus on others versus ourselves, true empathy for others, and dignity and respect for all people, all qualities of right and healthy relationships. In addition to being a basic human right, developmental psychologists consider safety, like food and shelter, to be one of the basic needs we all have as persons. Think about a time when you have felt unsafe. How much of your attention and energy is focused on getting to safety? Maintaining a Catholic faith environment requires us to provide a safe environment for our children and youth. Children and youth must not only be safe, but feel safe. Children are safer and happier. They generally do better when they grow up in a safe environment where everyone is looking out for them. Studies indicate that children are more resilient to adversity when they have positive, consistent adults in their lives, all modeling the right and respectful way to relate to one another. Our parishes, schools, and programs can be that sort of space each day for our young people. Our children are faced with a barrage of messages and images that desensitize them to sexual exploitation and violence. Our society encourages an attitude of standing up for your own rights, but not the responsibility to care for the rights of others. Statistics show that there are a greater number of children growing up in single-parent homes, fewer adults seeking marriage, and more marriages ending in a divorce. Just as technology allows for the advancement of many positive things in our world, those things that are problematic intensify rapidly as well. How can we create a faith environment that is deliberately different? A challenge of the century has been the realization that the faith environments we provide were not always safe. A study of the sexual abuse of children by Catholic clergy in the 50-year time period from 1950 to 2002 was commissioned by the USCCB. The John Jay Institute of Criminal Justice completed the study, which examined data from 97% of all dioceses in the United States. The study found that there were over 10,000 allegations of abuse by clergy that were known in 2002. Since that time, the number of cases of abuse known to the Church has increased to 14,000. Until 1990, however, only 810 cases were known to the Church. A number of events led to increased awareness of abuse, including media coverage of abuse cases and development of survival advocacy groups which empowered those who had suffered abuse to come forward. Until the 1970s, little information was known about the incident of child abuse or its long-term effects. Laws mandating the reporting of child abuse were first enacted in most states in the 1970s. In the 1980s, researchers in social work and psychology began to explore the impact of child abuse. Today, we know a great deal more about the signs of abuse, strategies to prevent abuse, and how to respond to those who have been abused. We know more about those who perpetrate abuse and the risks posed by continued access to children. Most studies estimate that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys in our country will be sexually abused by age 18. Most of this abuse occurs at the hands of family members or by someone that the child knows well. The number of individuals abused in a church setting is small in comparison to the number of children abused by family members or other acquaintances. Cases of individuals abused by clergy is small in comparison to the number of children abused in other settings each year. However, even a single case of abuse by clergy is too many. The sexual abuse of a child impacts the child in virtually all areas of development. One of the greatest impacts is in the area of social development. Sexual abuse involves a tremendous violation of trust that often alters a child's perception of all relationships. Spiritual development is negatively impacted, even in cases of abuse that occur outside a church setting. Children often ask, if there is a God, why did this bad thing happen to me? Or state, God really must hate me to let this happen. In severe cases of repeat abuse, sexual abuse has been found to alter the physical development of children, leading to early onset of puberty and other difficulties. Sexual abuse impacts a person's cognitive development or thought processes, making it difficult for a child to concentrate and affecting the child's decision-making ability. The emotional impact includes a lack of self-esteem and increased anxiety, depression, and anger, and may result in sleep problems, chemical dependency, and self-harm. Behaviorally, a child who is sexually abused may experience regression, acting out, aggression, eating disorders, and risky behaviors. Socially, a survivor of childhood sexual abuse may experience problems with relationships, boundaries, role expression, and trust. Regarding spiritual development, survivors of child sexual abuse in the general population often question, how could God let this happen? If God couldn't keep me safe, who can? I must deserve to be hurt. How much more would spiritual development be impacted by abuse perpetrated by a representative of the church? Physically, harm may include pain, sexual dysfunction, and early onset of puberty. If child sexual abuse is not effectively treated, long-term symptoms may persist into adulthood. Symptoms vary by individual, but could include post-traumatic stress disorder, an anxiety disorder that follows experience of a traumatic event and includes a combination of intrusive thoughts and memories of the trauma and avoidance of situations that trigger anxiety. The individual may experience severe depression and thoughts of suicide, sexual anxiety and disorders, poor body image and low self-esteem, and the use of unhealthy behaviors to mask emotional pain, such as drug or alcohol abuse, self-mutilation, or binging and purging. There is no one set of symptoms or outcomes that all victims experience. Positive outcomes for children who have been abused have been found to be related to a number of factors: the presence of a consistent positive relationship with an adult, and a supportive, protective response to a child's disclosure of abuse. In 2002, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops set forth the Charter for the Protection of Children and Young People to address these concerns. We talk a lot about compliance with the Charter, but the Charter is not just a set of rules or legal principles. The Charter is based on principles central to our calling as Catholic Christians: healing and reconciliation of survivors, making prompt and effective response to allegations, cooperating with legal authorities, disciplining offenders, creating a safe environment for children, and providing a means of accountability for the future to ensure that the problem continues to be effectively dealt with through a National Secretariat of Child and Youth Protection and National Review Board. The Charter requires the training of parents, ministers, educators, church personnel, volunteers, and others regularly involved with minors as to the abuse of children, including sexual abuse. The training is to address the prevention, identification, response, and reporting of such cases. In addition to those who regularly work with and who minister to and work with children and youth, every effort will be made to provide training to parents and children. Codes of conduct will be formulated and presented for all who work with and who minister to children and youth, as well as parents and children. Annual audits of dioceses have been conducted with results published and sent to the Holy See. Safe environment training is taking place in all audited dioceses of the country. Over 2 million employees and volunteers have been screened and trained in safe environment concepts. All audited dioceses have codes of conduct, and over 5.3 million children were educated in the signs of right relationships versus abusive ones and how to seek help.